welcome. And then, without further ado, let's go. And then, so we're in the very center of Beijing right now, and then this is very near to the Tiananmen Square, which is like the very center of Beijing. And then we're gonna play some of the videos right now, and then in certain stages I'm gonna pause, and then I'll explain certain locations and then their historical and cultural significance. Yeah. Yeah, in this part there is no ambience because there's a problem with the recording, but you can have a feel for it. And then these are people streaming in this landmark sort of place. And this is page 1. Is a bookstore, but I think this is a foreign or like Western company. But the architecture here is quite pretty. Yep, we're on the very top floor right now, and then very outside the window is Tiananmen, and there's some other central Beijing landmarks there. Okay, and this is the train station, I believe, and then yeah. Yes, and the significance of these, and this is a normal like transportation bus, but the significance of this I'll talk about later. And then some other perspectives of the same general view of the cranes, and then wait, let me switch a media player for this. Okay, this is better. Hello. And then, yep. Where we left off here, and then so we're in the very center of Beijing right now, and then there's the Tiananmen, the first landmark we're gonna visit, and then there's the sort of we're in a bookstore right now, and then there's some sort of, you could say yeah, and then this is the China Zun, which is the which means like China respected, and then the tallest building in Beijing, but not the tallest building in China though. And the windows are quite dirty. And then some plants, and then there's a German book there. I'm gonna begin the talk now. It's like, okay, so this is Tiananmen or Zhengyang Gate, and it was originally named Lijing Gate, and then commonly known as Tiananmen now. and then it is located on the southern end of Tiananmen Square, which is like the very center of Beijing. And then during the Ming and Qing dynasties, construction began in 1419, and then the Gate Tower, Arrow Tower, Barbican were built starting in 1437, and then completed in 1439, which is quite fast for that time. And the name was changed to Zhengyang Gate, which is like the thing we know of now. And it is a defensive structure of ancient Chinese cities, and the only city gate in Beijing that retains both the Gate Tower and Arrow Tower, which is the both of these, in good condition. And then in 1900, the gate was destroyed during the invasion of the Eight Nation Alliance, and then they raided also the Summer Palace, the Yuanmingyuan, which is the wait, I'm not sure of the English name of that, but yes, and it was rebuilt in 1906 based on the design of Chongwen and Xuanwu gates, which is two other gates quite near here, all in the central area of Beijing. And the current gate tower is 42 meters tall, with the building itself standing 33 meters high and 24 meters deep, and 7 bays wide. And the 7 bays is basically meaning that 7 poles inside of the building separate into 6 big rooms. And then the gate platform is 50 meters wide, and then 3-eaved hip roof covered in gray and green glazed tiles, and then with red painted pavilions, 2 levels. And then the upper level has intricately patterned windows and doors, and the lower level features red brick walls. And the large gates are open to the north, south, east, and west. It's basically every direction. And then the Arrow Tower is 38 meters high, 62 meters wide, and 32 meters deep, with a 12-meter high platform. And then it features 7 bays on the south and 5 projecting rooms on the north, and 94 arrow windows across its 4 levels on the east, west, and south sides. And it has a fortified style, which is of double-eaved and hip roofs covered in gray and green glazed tiles. And then this is the only preserved gate complex of an imperial capital city. And then so this is not only a cultural relic, but also a prime symbol of old Beijing, and it holds great historical, architectural, cultural, and artistic value, and serves as a significant representation of Beijing's legacy. And then so what I was talking about here, no, you cannot, like, the public cannot go on there, but the people can, like, be around it. Or maybe on certain occasions I think it is open. I'm gonna have to check on that. But these things here, these are very reminiscent of the old down trams, and then there's gonna be a sort of a model of it right here. But these are as a modern replica of it, and then these were instated on it's like around the 2010s, and then so there's a 10 RMB fare, which is like 1.5 US dollars, sort of 1.5 US dollars, and it is a sightseeing route that spans the center of Beijing, including Tiananmen, and then the Forbidden City, and then yes, so this is a modern version of the down tram. And then if you get off of the bookstore, we're gonna get off, and then there's some more of the insides. And then this is the down tram, and this is I don't think this is movable, and then, but people can go on there and then just sort of see how the old Beijing is. And then so why is it called a down tram? So it is a local Beijing name for just a tram, and then the name comes from the copper bell hanging at the front of the tram, and which makes a down sound when the driver steps on a pedal, which is a warning for the pedestrians that a car is coming, and then so they don't get in danger. And it is the first modern mode of transportation for Beijing. And then the actual tram service ceased in 1966, and then in the 2010s, 2009s, they were reinstalled. The tracks were reinstalled, and then in 2014, the vintage style sightseeing tram route was installed. So that was the buses there, these. Yes, it is a more polite version of the car horn. Traditional, it's a Beijing delicacy, but I'm gonna talk about more about it later because this is there's a bigger shop in the later. Thanks for the feedback. Okay, I don't know how much you guys heard, but I'm gonna re-say the things I just said if the ambience was too loud. And then so this is the Dangdang tram, and then you can see the tracks are here, which were reinstalled in the 2010s. And then after that, and then we turn around, and this is it's quite stylized with the number is Tianmen 1, which is it's just a sort of a it's a object that is like reminiscent of the old Beijing. And then if we turn around, and then this is Chinese version of Starbucks, or like Starbucks in the Chinese shell. And then this is the Chinese for Starbucks, which is Xing is star, and then Bake is buck, which is like Starbucks. And then Cafe is coffee, so Starbucks coffee. Oh yeah, please let me know in chat if the audio is okay now, or if it's not okay, and then we could redo it again. So this is the other side of the Okay, I'm gonna highlight this brand. This is called Daoxiangcun. It is a pastry brand, and then it was founded in 1895 outside Tianmen at Guanyin Temple, which is a Buddhist temple, and was the first business in Beijing to offer southern style delicacies. And then it produces pastries, meats, frozen foods, mooncakes, yuanxiao, which is like rice balls, and then zongzi, which is sticky rice wrapped within leaves. And then it's like it produces as well now it produces more stylized desserts, which they don't show it here, but in another shop further down the road they will have it. And then it has 600 products in 16 major categories, which is crazy. And then in 1993 it was officially recognized as a China time-honored brand. And then this is a designation given by the Ministry of Commerce to brands with, and I quote, deep historical roots, distinctive culture, unique craftsmanship, high quality products and services, and strong public recognition. Which, to be fair, is worthy of this shop is very worthy of it because it's a household name. Okay, and then it is the meat pie. Wait. The meat pie, and then so they have these in here. It keeps the warmth, and then there's some yogurt, and then some is like fried. I believe it is some kind of seafood. I think it's oyster, and then mending 肉饼. This is like so there's a traditional Beijing snack for the resemblance to the large rivets, the mending on ancient city gates, and it's said to have auspicious meaning as well. So by naming this, they think it will bring them like fortune and good luck. Okay. And so in ancient architecture, the doornails, the mending, were used exclusively on panel doors, so it has to be flat to have the mending. They were originally intended as a defense against enemies using fire to attack the city. So the 桌椅, a structural part near the door, was coated with mud to serve as fireproofing, which is basically, as like these are all parts of a door. The ancient red doors with the, as like in the Temple of Heaven, the Forbidden City, and then anything that is ancient sort of. And then the doornails are typically made of bronze, and then so the shape is very resembles the pies. So like it's named that way. And they were an important decorative feature on large doors of ancient buildings, and were used for grand hall doors, which is the ones in the imperial courts, and then in like the Forbidden City. And the golden gleaming doornails are fastened onto vermilion painted doors, created a majestic appearance while reinforcing the door's strength. They were generally installed on panel doors and then located at city gates, palace gates, courtyard entrances, or arched gateways. And then before the Qing dynasty, there were no regulations on the number and arrangement of doornails. But after the Qing dynasty, specific rules were established. And for imperial buildings, there were 9 rows vertically and 9 rows horizontally. So in total, it's 81 doornails per door. And the number 9 being the highest of the Yang numbers, symbolized the supreme status of the emperor. Since the imperial and central temple was dedicated to the worship of past emperors, it also used 9-row doornails. Yep, so that's kind of how this came about. And this is like a robot. And then what they're doing here is this is a noodle, and then this is called 炸酱面. And then so it's soybean paste noodles. And then it is a traditional Chinese noodle dish with top 10 as one of China's top 10 noodles, and then part of Beijing's cuisine. And then noodles with savory soybean paste, bean sprouts, cucumber, minced meat, and then it is salty and rich, very chewy and tasty. And see the ingredients on this. And this is the paste. This is the cucumber, and then I mean it varies depending on the vendor, but in general there's the paste, and then there's the cucumber, and then some kind of other vegetable to go with it. It's like salty, and then there's I believe soy sauce, and then there's beans, and then there's little pieces of meat inside. So but depends on how much you put it, or it depends on how much the vendor it's like how the vendor makes it, and then sometimes it can be very salty, or sometimes it can be too muted. But yeah. And then this. Oh wait. Okay. I mean, I'm just pausing at this. This is a sugar figurine, and so these are handmade figures, as you can see here, and then from melted cane sugar or maltose, and they can shape into people, animals, plants, and more. And so they carry a setup with a heating stove, and the heating stove is behind the tray here, and then heating stove on one side and the sugar ingredients / tools on the other, and the sugar is boiled into a brownish syrup, and then shaped, and the temperature control is very crucial. and then I quote, and then if it is too hot, it becomes too runny, and if it's too cold, it hardens too fast. And so simple tools like hands are used to mold and shape the figures. And you guys can have a feel for the craftsmanship. He's like rolling into it so they can retain its shape. This is the chicken. There's ultra distinct. So like it stays sanitary. And these are old Beijing, like traditional Beijing shoes, which is they have a very flat sole, and so it's not like the running shoes. But someone told me that this is very beneficial to the foot, and then how it's like your walking posture, because there's little margin for error or like bad habits to form on these shoes. I never really tried it, but it's kind of interesting. You can see all kinds of colors and shapes. And this is the company. It's called Tongshenghe, and it is founded in 1902, as stated here, and known for making shoes and hats. And the first store was opened in Tianjin, it's very near Beijing, and then specialized in fabric shoes with layered soles, which is the fabric, and the layered is, I think, barely layered, but it's considered layered. And the shop sign is currently hanging outside, is signed by a renowned figure named Du Baozhen, which is very famous at the time. So this is his handwriting. And then an official named Tie Liang, he wrote but the signs are not here, but he wrote it's like a couplet, it's like, which is the things we will hang on the sides of our doors during the new year, and then they said to carry good meaning, and then what someone aspires to do for the next year. And then he embedded Tong, Sheng, and He, the three words here, into the lines, and then symbolizing unity and prosperity. And then there are some interesting sculptures here of little children with big shoes. And this is a shop, and it's called the Chinese surname culture. And then because in China there's tons of surnames, and then basically every word there is in the dictionary, there could be a surname for it. It's not guaranteed, but there may be. Oh, hello from Pennsylvania, and then no, hello from Beijing to Pennsylvania, and then so this is the surname culture. And then inside, I think there's, because just like in the U.S. they sell these little plates where your surname is on, or like your first name is on, and then so this works similar. In the background, they're beckoning. It's like they're saying, oh, what they sell, and then it's like how they, it's like, oh, come and buy one. It's sort of that kind of thing. That's a wood vendor, and they make I think wood furniture or like little souvenirs. And then I want to highlight this shop. This is like the Tongshenghe I just talked about, but this is another shop that sells the same thing as like the fabric shoes. This is quite pretty as well. And it has and then the Feng Duan Chang. This is a very famous vendor for like jjajangmian, and then it is rated as it has Michelin stars, yes, and then this is called the street Michelin, sort of the classification, and it is in the classification is like the more Michelin stars you have, the better of a shop you are. But if you just have the classification, not as many stars, it still means that you're great. And then the food is amazing. They have very stylized plates, and then they have everything stacked up together. It's like for the jjajangmian, because there are many ingredients, and then they have a very stylized plate where the ingredients are stacked upon each other, and then the sauces are amazing as well. And then I don't have footage of this yet, but I have eaten from their shop. Yes. They also sell these fried, no, it's like barbecue stuff, and then some noodles, and then these are Peking duck rolls, which I don't know how that works, but in a normal Peking duck you have to roll it yourself, but I guess they roll it for you here, because it is really good. And then it says, you can see the Michelin ratings here, and then there's a one on their site that says Michelin recommended. And then surprisingly, their price is actually very reasonable, not like what you would think of a Michelin restaurant. It's very reasonable. It's about $5 for a large bowl of the jjajangmian, and then it's typically a one person portion, but I would be very full from one of those. And then, okay, this is our the next sort of chapter of this sort of street city walk journey, yes. And then this is called 大石栏, and then the origins of this is actually very interesting. And then it is pronounced as 大石栏, and then it's very, very weird, but in Beijing dialect it reflects the ancient pronunciation and local phonetic evolution. And so in the Ming record, this word, it was pronounced as shan, and then in the Qing dynasty it was added as 炸, which is how we would normally pronounce it. So it would be 大栅栏 normally, or 大善栏 normally. But in the Qing dynasty, when they added the definition of the pronunciation of 炸, because the name was already established in the Ming dynasty, they still pronounce it as 大善栏. But because the Beijing dialect has a sign of weakening the middle syllable, so the shan became something like 石, and then the lan or lan had an er suffixing, which is the most common thing of a Beijing dialect is the It's called the hua yin, which is the er suffixing, and then so it became 大石栏. So it's lan is like lan so it's lar, and then so 大栏, and then 石, and then 大石栏. So that's kind of how it became. But how this name came to be was that because they placed this looks like a fence, and then so they call it sort of, this translates to big fence. So that's how they sort of symbolize this street. And then it is covering an area of 1.15 square kilometers. It was built in 1420, and then originally it was called 廊坊四条. 廊坊 is a small town, or is a town in Hebei, which is a very near province to Beijing. And in 1488, wooden gates were installed at the Hutong entrance, so it was called 大石栏. So and then this is a more modernized and a metal version of it. And then by the late Qing dynasty, it became a bustling commercial hub. And then today, 大石栏 Historical and Cultural District is home to many historic buildings and brands, and which we'll see later. And then I'm gonna name a few. And then the former 劝业 Bazaar, and then the 千祥义 and 瑞福祥 Silk Store. And it is also home to bank branches, but we don't see any. I didn't see any in this walk. And then the 盐业银行, which is the salt industry bank, and then the Bank of Communications, 交通银行. is known to be the birthplace of early Chinese commerce, film, and core area for traditional Beijing culture. And so on April 3rd, 2015, it was designated as one of the first Chinese historical and cultural streets by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Rural Development and the State Administration of Cultural Heritage. So this is quite a prominent, and then if you come to Beijing, it's like, I think most people will visit here. And these are not the mending, but these are sort of on a traditional Chinese door. You can see the ring there, and then if you want to knock, it's not like a doorbell. You ring the doorbell. It's like you grab the thing and you slam it on the door. It's like bang bang bang, and then sort of it's like a doorbell knock. And then they made it on this sort of pot. I think it's for water storage, but it's quite pretty. And I think this is a dragon, but they can make it into tons of other sort of shapes, maybe sometimes according to the Chinese zodiac signs. And then in the background they're saying that they sell the mending roving, and then it's like for 10 RMB, which is 1.5 US dollars, you can have one, and then you can eat it here, or you can take it away and then eat it while you walk. And then so there is a sort of advertising. And this is another street, like the Dashila, but and then this is the Lao Zihao, which is like the traditional shops street of food, or like food street. And then this is called Xian Yu Kou, which is like the fresh fish entrance, or like the fresh fish gate. You could think of it at this way. And then I left some parts of the ambience in, because sort of it's the recreate the vibe as if actually speaking, it's like walking on the street. But I'll be explaining some of the ambience. But if I miss anything, you can ask. Feel free to ask. And then here, this is a police stand, and then it says loyal to the Communist Party, and then the prosecution, or like, yeah, prosecution is fair. It's like that motto. And this is a Daoxiangcun, which I was talking about earlier. It is a very honored, and then very is designated as a China time-honored brand, and then it makes southern pastries. It was the first shop in Beijing to sell southern style pastries, and then so these are their more stylized ones, and then they have the normal ones, which I'll show later, but these are the stylized ones. And then yep, okay, and then this is a persimmon, and the persimmon in Chinese is called shizi, and then this has a sort of it has good meaning to it, and because in Chinese, shi is like a thing, and then they say shi shi ru yi, which is everything you do is as you have planned, which is like you're gonna do good. And then so they sell these, and then this is in the shape of a persimmon, and then the inside filling, I don't think it's persimmon in the inside, I'm not sure, but and then they also sell some other ones. This is a stone by okay, and they sell this is Qinian, which is Qinian is the center of the Temple of Heaven. If people think of the Temple of Heaven, they will think of this. It's called the Qinian Dian, the Qinian Temple, where the ancient rulers come to pray to their gods. And then the Gu Yun Gao, this is like the Gulou. This is another prominent building in Beijing. And then the Tongbao Gao, they have the names for it, but they derive these names from the actual things. And then this Tong, this is copper, and the copper is from the copper pots. It's sort of like hot pot, but the hot pot is a more modernized version of this kind of shape of pot. so it's not a normal pot. And then they have the meat around this sort of tube, and then the fire is down here. And then 您吃了吗 is like, did you eat Beijing? Or like, did you eat some of Beijing? And then these packages are reminiscent of the Dangdang trams, which I was talking about earlier. And then they used to operate around Qianmen, but their service ceased, and then now they have a sort of a modern substitute for this. It's like in the shape of this, it's a normal bus in the shape of this, and it's a sightseeing route, and then it costs $1.5 dollars, US dollars equivalent to sort of ride on. And some more other stylized things. I mean, the products is the ones shown on the sign, but these are the actual things. And these are the more normal ones. And then this is the coconut flake, it's like filling things. Yeah. And then this is the green tea, and then lotus. And this is the oh no, I don't know what this is called, but I like this. I don't know what most of these are called. It's like most of these in English are called, but these are quite good. And then the red one was the rose, and then this one is the lily, I think. And then pineapple, black sesame, pumpkin, and then this is a black bean, and then there's this blackberry. And these are some of the drawings here. And then these it's like this is like old Chinese style of painting, and then this is called it's sort of like a worship, and then in modern days this has been transformed into a sport in China. And then so every year during it's like during a festival, it's like people from all provinces of China, they gather together and they race in this. And then this can go, they call it it's like I saw a foreigner comment about this, and then they said it was the Chinese equivalent of F1. And then but this is quite exciting, and then it requires tons of coordination, physical strength, and then so one person will stand in the front or the back, and then they will hit the drum, so it will be like the rhythm for all of these other rowers to row, and then these are like the motors of the ship, and then so they can go quite fast. Okay, and then this is the Tang Hulu, which is translates into candied hawthorn. So this is hawthorn, the red thing here, and then also known as Bing Tang Hulu or Tang Hulu, and as traditional Chinese snack that originated in the Southern Song Dynasty, and has skewered wild fruits dipped in malt syrup that hardens when cooled. And then so when you chew, there's the chewiness and the sweetness of the sugar, and then there's the hawthorn, the sourness of the hawthorn, yes, and then or sweetness, depends on what is skewered. And then so it's most commonly made with hawthorn berries. It is popular winter street snack. Yeah, they don't sell this in hot temperatures because the candy, the sugar will easily melt, and it will be very messy. And then the crunchy is a glossy sugar shell, creates a sweet, sour, and icy treat. And then it is in an old record called Yanjing Sui Shiji, which is the Yanjing, and then Sui is like age, and then Shi is time. So it's a record of sort of Yanjing time. And then it describes how sugar-coated fruits like hawthorn, crabapple, grape, and walnut were made using bamboo skewers dipped in rock sugar syrup. and it's said to aid digestion, boost energy, and has beauty and health benefits. Maybe, I don't know. Every time I ate this, I didn't have any beauty benefits. And then this is called Rui Fuxiang. This is a silk store, and then I was attracted by their sort of the outside of their shop, and then these are rock carvings, and then this is quite a Western style pillar, and then there's the name of the shop, and then the red lanterns. And then this says it is the #1 silk brand in China. I don't know if that's true, but they are quite famous. And I'm gonna provide some background. So it is founded in 1862 in Jinan, which is another province in China, and it is a prestigious Chinese brand specializing in bespoke clothing, and it is recognized as a China time-honored brand, just like the ones that I showed before. And it is held to be the #1 silk brand in China, and is listed as an intangible cultural heritage, and it is a trusted premium brand. And these are some descriptions of the painting of their silk. I mean, yes, it is good marketing, but if they don't deliver on that sort of promise or that image, it can be bad marketing as well. Oh wait, let me play this. The Chinese style windows, and there's the architecture. Some of the pins that go with the silk dresses or shirts. And it says founded in 1862. And there's the English version since 1862. And these are the plaques of their accomplishments. And this is city level, intangible, cultural heritage. And then this is China Time Honored brand, and then this is the trusted by consumers brand. So this is a recognition by the Chinese government that this is a good brand. And this part, this is a temple fair. It's called a 庙会 or 庙市, and then so it's traditional Chinese folk religious and cultural event, usually held around the Lunar New Year, and the Lantern Festival or other traditional holidays like the dragon raising its head, and then which is on the second day of the second lunar month. And these fairs are closely linked to temple celebrations and commerce, often held in and around temples and widely popular across China. And then I'm gonna play this, and then the ambience, you guys can have a feel for the ambience, and I'll explain some significant parts later. Oh yeah, that was a bad cut made by me. And then, but this is the name of the temple fair, and it's called 大石蜡, which is the name of the street, and then this is their temple fair, and there's a food store restaurant inside, and then this basically like signifying, oh, if you want to go to our restaurant, you can enter through here.
那最小的分大字。
你说的啊？我真买了，买吧，我家还有500呢。不是那500不是啥牌儿？你觉得我
Oh no, I think it was all out of focus. But yeah.
打回去这个。以前那样子，以前在我们这边没有
麻酱，
就是这个。
快来，小姑娘，10块要好吗？来几个
Okay, so we're gonna break this down one by one. So yeah, those are flutes, and then and then yep. Once you go in, and they sell these sort of refrigerator magnets, and then these are pieces of jewelry, and then these are the fans, and then this is covered. I don't know what that is exactly, but and if we turn to the other side to see, these are some, I think it's still refrigerator magnets. These are like just souvenirs, and then but the next part is quite significant. This is in China, these made in China sort of luxury brands. Because they have the capability to make these replicas, and then even like very great replicas, and then so yeah, and then these are it's like fake Louis Vuittons, and then maybe or stylized in that way, but they don't have the Louis Vuitton bag, a Louis Vuitton logo on it. Yes, this is a video that I took. Yep, and this is a back cut. And then these are rabbit. They are called rabbit Tuye, which is like rabbit grandfather, but indirectly translated. But I'm gonna talk about this later because there's a shop specialized in selling this later. But these are sort of decorations in a household that bring good meaning, sort of. And then this is very interesting. They use these metal rods, and then they shape this into all kinds of figures. Like there's a dragon, there's a T-Rex, and then there's a motorcycles, and then Spider-Man, and then so this is very hard to make, but it's like I admire those who make it. This is very interesting. And there's a tank, and 2 tanks. And these are some these is also sort of jewelry, but sometimes people buy these this is called 核桃, and then they put it in their hands, and then they just rub it, and then it's got the sound of like the clink 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 clang sort of thing, and then it's very sort of, it can be annoying, but it can be very relaxing as well. The sound, I mean. And then what the lady said to me there was like, she sells drinks, and then she's like, "Oh, do you want one?" And I was like, and then I was like, no. I was like, no, thank you. I just nodded my head because there's the ambience there. And then this is the sort of reminiscent of the is that before China was the People's Republic of China was established. These were the hats, the military hats that the soldiers would wear, and then with the large red star here. And there's some other adaptations of it. Like I said, this one has Beijing, the Chinese characters of Beijing on it. And then what other things they sell these fans, but these sometimes, because they are wood and they are quite compact, so they sometimes can be used to hit people. And I've seen someone do that, I think. And then these are I was like, how do I describe it? But it's we call it the Russian sort of stacking thing, and then there's a smaller one inside a smaller one and a smaller one, and yeah, and these are pistols, sort of toy pistols. And these are the Chinese sort of opera or like theater actors, and then so they wear these kinds of hats, and then they wear these masks, and then the clothing is like an ancient sort of army general, that kind of clothing, and this is a bigger one of those. Okay, yeah, Matryoshka stacking dolls, yes. I don't know for sure, but yes, it's that kind of thing. It's a Russian something, and they sell insect this thing here. I don't, yeah. And they sell these dolls. It's like Barbie dolls, but they're in Chinese clothing, and there's some pandas down there as well. And then these are stamps, which is they engrave the shapes onto it, and then you put it onto sort of ink, and then you can stamp it on paper. And then some more figurines, and then I think made with it's like Play-Doh, but it's a higher version of, or like more delicate version of Play-Doh. And these are fridge stickers, and then these are Chairman Mao's fridge stickers. And these are pots used in as a Chinese tea ceremony, and these are the peripherals of it. There's a whole sort of code of conduct within Chinese tea gatherings, which is I'm not gonna get into because I'm not very sure of it. But in general, it's like there's an order as to who pours it first, and then there's an order as to what gets washed by the hot water first, and then so in general there's an entire code to it. And some more jewelry. Yeah, these ones. Yes, I could, but I have to dive deeper into it to be able to do that. But yes, that's a good idea. And then these are figurines, and then that's the communist symbol there. And then this is it sort of says from the whole family. This is it's like earwax removing god tool. This is a great tool. This is how Chinese used to describe it as like good tool. There's a god tool. It's a godly thing. And then, and then this is the camera movement is kind of, I have to refine that. And these are figurines. And then not just normal figurines. These are the ones you could just squeeze, and then it can be sort of relaxing. But the main thing is that this is from the movie哪吒, and then it's also gone live in like U.S. theaters. But it was like number 7 or number 9 in the top 10 most grossed films in history. So like it's right next to like something like Titanic, or it's like in the same list as the Avengers. And then, so this is very craved in China ever since the blow up of the second movie. So everyone is like, they are either like cosplaying as this main character. This is Naja, which is, and then or this guy. This guy is like sort of the polar opposite of Naja, but they are friends, surprisingly. And this is fire, and this is this guy symbolizes water, and this guy symbolizes fire. But this guy is generally perceived to be as a sort of a bad character, been a bad person in the lore, folklore. But in the movie, they made him or her like a hero. Yes. I'm not gonna go dive too deeply into the movie. It's controversial. And these are Chinese railway stuff. These are the older ones, and then these are the newer ones, the high-speed rails. And there's like half of Thomas here. And then HST stands for high speed transport. And then so this is the logo for the Chinese high speed railway system. Yes. And then some more Naja stuff here. As you can see, there's tons of peripherals from that single movie. I mean, it's 2 movies, but the first movie didn't do as good as the second one. And then some more refrigerated stickers, but these are more refined than the ones is like next to the Chairman Mao fridge stickers. These are 3D. How common are trains in Beijing? Good question. I mean, depends on where you look. I mean, in this area, it's quite hard to look. But if you go to a random train station, there's tons of trains, and then mostly the trains are swapped as is only the trains that most people take are either like very high speed transports, is like 350 kilometers or more, or like the old, is like we call it green skin trains, which is like it goes very slow, like 60 kilometers, and then so but they have beds on it so you can sleep on it. Yes, the subway system is quite expansive. It covers sort of every area of Beijing, and then they are still expanding it. And then some pandas, and then I mean, you can see that they have a lot of commonalities between the two sides and what they sell. So like, it's mostly along the same lines, like souvenirs, fridge stickers, and then maybe some niche things like the insect bodies or whatever that's called. But yes, generally along the same lines. And these these are flutes. Yes, as answered by chat. And the ukuleles as well. Yes, the subway trains they transport quite a lot of people daily. And then some more jewelry, more tea stuff, and then some 3D, and then pandas, and then these are the bags I showed earlier. And then and then these are figurines of the NBA players, and then there's also and there's like, I think there's Kobe, and then there's Michael Jordan somewhere, and then there's also these Chinese clothing figurines as well. And this says the sign there says Beijing souvenir register spot, and I don't know why they have US dollars here. I think it's some kind of virtual currency or like game currency. And then it's like, this says leave your name in Beijing. So like, this is, yes, I think that, yeah. Okay, we have 2 ideas now. And then this is a sort of, just like the name stickers, the tags. And then so they have your surname. I think virtually every surname, but if you have a very it's like uncommon surname, then maybe they don't have it. And then these are the fancier version of the jewelry that you can like put in your hand and just roll. And then so these are this is called the North Ice Ocean. No, Atlantic Ocean. no, wait, North Pole, wait, Antarctic Ocean, yes, that's the word. And then this is it's a sort of like soda, and then it's sweet, and then these are suanmei is like berries, and then they make it into these beverages, and this is said to be able to relieve your it's very desired in summertime because this is good for your health. And there's yogurt, and these are ice creams. This is like sort of, you can see this in every major landmark in China, or in Beijing. I think for Beijing it's definitely every major landmark, and these are, it looks good, but the looks don't, the taste doesn't live up to the looks. But I mean, most people buy it just for the looks. And then there's, I think I should explain the landmarks. This is temple, the temple of heaven, and this is a dragon, and then this is the drum tower, 鼓楼, and then the Great Wall, and then Tiananmen, and then this is a this is a snake with a sort of, it's a Chinese lion head, and then so because this year is the zodiac of the snake, so it has a snake body, and this is the peony, or peony, or yeah, something like that. It's the national flower of China, and then this is the qianmen, the one nearest to us, and then the yogurt, stylized yogurt. And then the word says it's an old Beijing yogurt. And then this is another one of the jjajangmian stores. This is it's like the ones I showed earlier, but I haven't explained the name of this. And then the feng is like square, and then zhuan is like the brick, and then chang, which is like the factory of the square brick, and then the number 69 jjajangmian, and these have no correlation, but this is a single shop, and then this is like a food court, and there's tons of little vendors there. Okay. And this is Zhang Yiyuan. This is a well-known Beijing tea brand that emphasizes honesty and integrity in business. And then the founder, Zhang Changyi, and then it was from the Anhui province, is more to the south of China. And then he opened his first tea shop, Zhang Yuyuan, in 1900 at the flower market. And then so in ancient Chinese, yu also meant tea, other than jade, while yuan, which is the yuan now, means the yuan, this one, means first or origin. And then so now the yuan is like typically for the Chinese currency, and then the definitions were lost with time. And then but in the ancient the signboards, they read from the right to the left, so it's Zhang Yiyuan, well, not the other way around. And the same with this, which I'm gonna talk about later. And then so in 1906, the second store opened at Guanyin Temple on Qianmen Dashida Street, which is near here, and then renamed Zhang Yiyuan like this, and then so symbolizing new beginnings. And a third store opened in 1908 on the same street, also named Zhang Yiyuan, later distinguished as Zhang Yiyuan Wenji, which is the literature or textual records of Zhang Yiyuan, so along the same brand. Oh yes, the looks are meant to inflate the prices of the ice cream. Yes, they sell those for, I think, $6 equivalent, or $5 equivalent. But I mean, it's high for the price of ice cream, and then also because it doesn't taste that good. It isn't worth that price. I mean, the looks are probably worth the price, but the taste isn't worth the price. And this is Tongrentang. This is also a time-honored brand, as most of the shops are probably on this sort of street, and it is established in 1669 by 越咸阳. The 越 is not the as in the flyover 越, and then because in Chinese the surname is there's the same sound for multiple surnames. So this surname is different from this is quite a uncommon surname. Yes, the beauty is taken very seriously. And then, and starting in 1723, and has supplied herbal medicine to the imperial court for 8 emperors over 188 years. And so this was a royal institute, sort of royal service before, but now everyone can buy it, and it's Chinese medicine. And then in 1992, the Tongrentang Group was officially established and consolidating more than 21 core units into a state-owned enterprise with 10 companies, including 2 publicly listed, 2 manufacturing bases, 2 research and medical institutions, and then 2 service centers. And it spans modern pharmaceuticals, retail pharmacy, and medical services. And then by 2013, Tongrentang had grown into a major brand representing traditional Chinese medicine globally. And yes, I should do one covering Chinese architecture because this is quite complex. And these are the stone. So these are put here to be a sort of as a lucky charm, and then it's also for the belief that putting those here will give protection, and then yeah. Oh wait, I want to highlight this after this passes. Yes, and this is called. This is a very famous Chinese drink company called Mixue Iced Tea, and it's so one of their for example, let me take their iced lemon tea for example. It goes for $0.5 equivalent, and then it's 3.5 Chinese yuan, which is like very very low, and then, but their drinks are fine, but we don't know what is put in there, and then there have been some sanitary scandals, but I mean that's I guess that's, I mean the prices. Yeah. I'm not gonna comment. Oh wait, I just realized the ambience is gone. Okay, I think I'm gonna upload this video to YouTube as well, and so you guys can have pure, as like the sort of like purely just the ambience, and then also this stream is the replay of the stream is also gonna go on YouTube as well, and then so but what this guy is doing here is that he's slamming the metal as like the anvil, and then he's making these sort of these yuanbao, which this symbolizes the shape, and then this thing normally in gold it symbolizes fortune, and then this is very interesting. The Russia product store, and then so I mean in China there's tons of these Russian stuff. I don't know exactly why, but there's tons of these, and the people love going here because they say the meat prices, the chocolate prices, the milk prices, and are all like cheaper than what you would buy in China normally, because they say Russia, because of how big Russia is, and they can have an abundance of everything. I don't know if that's true or not. The sausages, which the people love to say as like their meat composition is like 100% or like 99%. And this is Nei Liansheng. This is founded in 1853 by Zhou Ting, a native of Wuqing County, which is somewhere to the south, I believe. And in his early years, he was apprenticed at a shoemaking workshop in Beijing. And thanks to his this is from Baidu, and it says, I quote, thanks to his exceptional aptitude, he quickly mastered the craft. After accumulating a solid network of clients and gaining management experience, Zhao decided to start his own business. and that with substantial financial backing of 10,000 taels of silver, which is a ton at the time, from a nobleman known as General Ding, Zhao established the Neiliansheng boot and shoe store in the capital, which is 10,000 was a ton at the time, but maybe, yeah, the guy must be really rich. Or maybe that can be an exaggeration, because people say it's like 10,000 is like an exaggeration. For example, it's like there's 10,000 soldiers on the other enemy. It can be an exaggeration, not actually like 10,000. It's like in the old times. Maybe it was distorted. Okay, and this is Daguanlou, and then so it says the founding, it's like the founding place of Chinese cinema, and then so some background history was like originally built in the late Qing dynasty, and then in 1905 the former Da Hengxuan, which is the building Da Hengxuan and a tea house. It was a tea house originally, was renamed Daguanlou Motion Picture Complex. And so it becoming one of the earliest fixed venues for film screenings in the southern part of Beijing. And so on January 22nd of 2005, a symposium titled "Centenary Commemoration of the Birthplace of Chinese Cinema" was held here. Yeah. And you can see the remnants of the tea house as Cha Yuan, which is the original. Originally, this was a tea house, so that they preserved the writing as well. And this was shot vertically. This was the original sort of logo of the cinema, but the glass is quite dirty. I mean, I don't know if the inside is dirty, but it says the birthplace of Chinese cinema remembrance logo. Yeah. And then the Chinese Film Gallery. First Chinese film gallery. Some fundamentals of Chinese film history. And then some milestones in Chinese film. And then some officials meeting, and then how everything evolves. The centenary commemoration event, and then the sort of group picture with the officials and then the people from the cinema. These are about old movies. The old movies that were made in this is like the entirety of Chinese film history. These are advertisements. I'm just gonna explain some of it. Is like this is the advertisement for the sort of the screening, or the playing of a movie, or like called 日出, which is like sunrise, and then in 1988, I believe. So they have these 1950. Yes, and then a preface here. the ambience noise. But yes, this is the preface, the preface or preface here. I don't know how much you guys missed, but in general, it's like this was the birthplace of Chinese cinema, and then the entirety of Chinese film's history was shown as like around the building, on the walls, on the near the roof, and then yes, and then there was some milestones, and then there are pictures that correspond with the milestones, and these are the copper pots as shown with the desserts. It's like the dessert shapes resemble these actual copper pots. For display, because I think these are broken, so they cannot be used for actual eating. And this is our last spot, or last sort of street for today. It is called Yangmei Zhu Xie, which is it's called, the translated directly as the slanting street of waxberry and bamboo. So Yangmei is waxberry, and then Zhu is bamboo, and then Xie means slanted, and then the Jie is for street. And so the street is 496 meters long, and during the Ming Dynasty it earned its name as slanting because of its diagonal orientation. And in the Republic of China era, Yangmei Zhu was famous for its concentration of publishing houses, including 7 renowned bookshops such as the World Book Company, and the street became a hub of literary culture with guild halls, notable residences, and financial offices. And so distinguished figures such as Liang Shizheng and Lu Xun and Shen Congwen lived or visited here, leaving their marks. And then so these people were advocates during the era of, let's take Lu Xun for example. He was writing to sort of highlight the atrocities and then the injustices and the wrong beliefs of the Chinese people at the time. So this is it's like ground hole cover. No, it's like the sewer cover. Yes, sewer cover, and then it says 大石浪, which is like the area it is in. And then some background on the waxberry. It's like the waxberry, or Yangmei, is originated in Ningbo, Zhejiang province, which is to the south it's quite the distance, and then to the south of Beijing. And then the oldest known waxberry tree, dating back to 2520 BCE, still exists in Shiao, which is making it 4,500 years old. And today it is cultivated in East China, Hunan, Guangdong, Guangxi, and also found in Japan, Korea, and the Philippines. And then waxberries preferred mild and humid climates and grow on forested mountain slopes between 125 to 1,500 meters above sea level. And it thrives in deep, loose, acidic soils rich in gravel. And so the fruit has medicinal value. So according to Li Shizhen in the Compendium of Materia Medica, or better known as 本草纲目 in Chinese, and it is preserved with salt, I quote, it relieves phlegm and stops vomiting. Its juice benefits the 5 organs and lowers qi. It aids digestion and alleviates summer heat and diarrhea. However, overconsumption may lead to excess internal heat. And then, yes, and so this is called Tu Ye, which is Lord Rabbit or rabbit grandfather. Tu, a rabbit, and then Ye is a grandfather or Lord if you wanna. It's like in Beijing dialect, is like if you say Ye is either for grandfather or for someone is like respected, or like you do some service for them. Okay, and then this is a shop where they sell the rabbit, the Lord Rabbit. And then so some background is a traditional Beijing folk craft and a children's toy associated with the Mid-Autumn Festival. And so every year during the festival, locals offer figurines of this 兔爷, and this tradition dates back to the Ming Dynasty. And over time, 兔爷 evolved into a children's toy, and is so modeled after opera characters. Some are sculpted as warriors in golden armor, others ride lions, elephants, or qilin, which is a mythical creature of Chinese mythology. And then, as you can see here, they are riding all kinds of things, and then their clothing is different. And then they carry paper flags or umbrellas, either standing or seated, and then making them very treasured and loved, which is quite cute. And then so it's inspired by the Jade Rabbit of the Moon Palace legend. And then so artisans humanized and deified the rabbit, and then so they created clay figures in various styles. So from the Ming and Qing dynasties onwards, the Jade Rabbit emerged as a standalone figure in moon worship ceremonies, and then so it gradually enriched with symbolic meanings. So it embodies both sacred and secular qualities, and the blending ritual and recreation. So today it stands as one of Beijing's most representative intangible cultural heritage icons. And this, it was sort of an evolution from a toy into something like is sometimes worshipped as a god, which is idolatry. Oh yes, and then that's the Dangdang tram, and then that's some landmarks like the Qianmen, and then this is the Beijing landmarks, and then some other drawings. And this is a snake, quite cute, which follows the zodiac sign. And then if you're interested about what the people in the background are talking about, they were talking about it's like sort of choosing gifts for a friend's child's birthday party. Yeah, so they were considering buying one of these to give to the friend's child. Oh, and this is a I just shot this because I think it was cute, because it says 斜街, which is like a short for this street, the Yangmei Zhu and then the number 8 of this, which is like where this shop is located. And then it's sort of like a zip code for not zip code. It's like it's like a US address, but in the similar way. And then these are flowers, and then this is back to 斜街, which is this thing. And this is this says 云木集, which is like the collection of clouds and wood, and it is a original sort of jewelry shop. And then there's designer jewelry, and then I didn't go in because I don't think they would contact, but yes, the insides are very, very pretty. Oh, and then this has extra significance. You guys can take a guess as to what they are holding there. Alright, you guys can take a guess in chat as to what they are holding here. The red sort of books. You guys can say in chat. I'll give you guys like 1 minute. You guys can take a guess. It is something that can be used as a fan, but not actually a fan. Okay, so what this is, the red thing here, it is the marriage certificate in China, and then so what this is that basically the significance behind this is that nowadays to get married is quite a difficult thing to do. And so if people are married, they do all kinds of these sort of ceremonies, and they save these pictures to sort of commemorate this kind of the marriage, the issue of, or the event of marriage. And so yes, bride and groom. And then, so according to data from the National Bureau of Statistics and the Ministry of Civil Affairs, China's marriage rate has been declining annually since 2013, and so with significant regional disparities. And generally, the more economic developed a region is, the lower the marriage rate. And in 2018, Shanghai and Zhejiang, which is the highest, the most economically developed of all China, had the lowest rates nationwide, and at 4.4 and 5.9% respectively. And then other economically advanced regions such as Guangdong, Beijing, Tianjin also reported low marriage rates. And so what this means is that because the more economically developed a region is, the more people they have to work, and then so the more they have to work, they have less time for marriage. And then so to get married, if you're working in Beijing, is quite hard. And the same with Shanghai and Zhejiang. Zhejiang is like where all the new money, the new tech, the industries are. So the economy there is even more developed than Beijing. I mean, the GDP is not as high, but the structure of it is very, very time consuming and very, very developed. Yes. So that's kind of the thing for big cities. Oh yes, it's different. Yes, they have separate marriage religion. It's like engagement. It's like they have an engagement ring and then they have a wedding ring. So this is like the engagement ring of wedding photos, and then there's the other separate occasion for the wedding, or like the actual like the kissing part. Yes. Yes, it is sweet, and it is costly. Okay, yes, in China, there's the policy of it's called 彩礼, and then people want, because the number 8 in China is very significant, and then so the parents of either side, or maybe the man's side or the woman's side, they would want 888,000 renminbi in this 彩礼, because they want good fortune, and they want good meaning to come with this. And then so this is a major turning off point for either party, because not everyone has 888,000 renminbi lying around, which is like the equivalent of like $100,000, which is by no means less. And then they also have come with other sort of terms. It's like you have to have a house in like a certain rim of Beijing. Oh, dowry, yes, dowry. And then you also have to have cars, like preferably more Mercedes-Benz, BMW, or Audi. And then yes, and then the rims of Beijing is basically it's like the first ring of Beijing is the Tiananmen, which is rarely anyone can live here. And then the second ring has the old buildings, and then their prices are sky high. And then the third rim, and then as you go further and further and further, the price drops, and then so does how willing a person is gonna live there. That's kind of the situation. And then, so this is a hand-drawn map of Beijing. You guys can look over it, and I'll break it down. Okay, so from here, is like this is the Tiananmen, the arrow tower, and then so that's where we started, and then there's also Zheng Yangmen's behind it, and then the Chairman Mao's memorial is behind it as well, and then the China Railway Museum. Okay, it was not a train station. It was it's like a railway museum now, and then the National Museum, and then we go further back, and then this is the CBD, the Central Business District, and then the China Zun, the China Respected, the tallest building in Beijing is here, and there's also, this is called the triplet, which is like if you see one of those, you're gonna see the other two as well. So they're in the same general area as it's like New York City. It's like you got the Empire State Building, you have what other buildings in New York City? But yes, that's the general idea. And then there's the river, Tonghui River, and then there's like diplomatic relations apartment, and then Beijing railway station, and it's all hand drawn. This is very neat. They highlighted and then shoes and then some shops and then some parks and landmarks. This is very pretty. Oh, and this shop is called Beijing Time, which is wait, this dropped too fast. But it's called 精卫时光, which is like the vibe of Beijing, and you're trying to pick that back up in time. So these are very old, it's like old Beijing pieces. It's like these are old, how the buses look in old Beijing, and these are the old it's like the bus plaques. It's like they say like where this bus is gonna go, and there's also these fridge magnets, and then the cups as well. And then there's some more of these. These are bags, and then inside these are all handcrafted, I believe. And then more souvenirs and fridge magnets. And these look really good. This is called Beihai Park, and then the Great Wall, and this is the Forbidden City, and two of the Forbidden City ones, and then Tiananmen, and then some other ones. And I just think this is fun. This is a China Post, sort of it's a post office, and so they made all this stylized architecture just for a post office. It is very sort of neat, and then yeah. And those people were asking if they were like closed, because I filmed this at around 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. and then so they were like closed for the day. I mean, it varies among the shops, but yes, they close quite early. And this is the 24 hours. So you can pick your own money up, but this is unrelated to the post. And this is the last place for today, and this is the 正义祠戏楼, which is theater complex sort of. And also some background is that also known as the Silver Gold Hall. It is located in number 281 Xiheyan Street in Xicheng District in Beijing. And it was built in 1667 by merchants from Zhejiang who raised funds to construct a temple honoring Zhao Gongming. And today it serves as a venue for the Northern Kunqu Opera Theater. And then so it is made entirely of wood, and is the best preserved, one of the best preserved of Qing Dynasty buildings in China. And its stage is among the oldest existing opera stages in Beijing, and is one of the most famous in the country. And it has witnessed the full history of Peking opera, from its birth to its peak, and then making it of great historical importance. And so on July 12, 2001, it was designated as a municipal level protected cultural heritage site by Beijing municipal government. And then so what this houses is like the home team in this complex is that the Northern Kunqu Opera Theater was established on June 22nd in 1957 in Beijing, and then one of China's professional Kunqu performance troupes. And then so Kunqu, which is Kun opera, was originally called Kunshan Tune, and then it is to a place in China called Kunshan, and it is one of the oldest forms of Chinese opera and a gem of Han Chinese traditional culture and in theatrical arts. It is originated in the 14th century in Kunshan, Suzhou, and then thanks to reformers like Wei Liangfu, it gained nationwide prominence and dominated the Chinese stage for nearly 300 years, starting in the mid-Ming dynasty. And so it integrates singing, speech, acting, dance, and martial arts, and is known for the elegant lyrics, melodic lines, and refined performance. And so the instruments used in this is the drums and the clappers, and to control the rhythm. And it is accompanied by instruments such as the dizi, the bamboo flute, which was like the ones in the festival fair, and then sanxian, which is the 3-stringed lute, and then the vocal pronunciation follows the Central Plains accent, 中州韵. So it's not like Mandarin, and so or like a varied version of Mandarin Chinese. And so in 2001, Kunqu was recognized by UNESCO as a masterpiece of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity. Yes. Unfortunately, we can't go in, because if we go in, we can see the shapes of the sort of the shape of the structure, and then the stage, and then because the entire thing is all peripheral items, so it's like not only the stage is significant, but the walls and then the pillars beside it is also very significant. It's like a church in like Spain or Italy, and so everything has to be very aesthetically pleasing, and then for the entire experience. That's kind of the sort of synopsis of this place. And then a sort of very small Chinese fire station, and then only houses like one truck, and then the people are housed here. So yeah. Okay, that's the end of the video, and then we have like 20 minutes to do some questions, if there is any. Alright, and then feedback is also welcome. You guys can post the feedback here, or maybe after, I don't know. What did you film the video on? I filmed it on my phone, and then with a sort of attachment that stabilizes it. But I'm not that good with the camera work, which will hopefully be optimized next time. Thank you. And then we stream every Tuesday, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. So next Tuesday maybe something new. I will try to come up with something, or maybe use the ideas generated today. It's like the subway, the tea, and then yeah. Thanks for that. I mean, the research. I mean, I try to research as thoroughly as possible, but sometimes it gets quite long, and then it ends up becoming sort of, it's like reading from the script. I mean, yes, I have to optimize that. Okay, that's nice to hear. I mean, if that is the case, then I mean, you guys are always free to tell me, because sometimes the information can be. I mean, when I was researching, I was overloaded by information, but I used And for the research, I used two resources. Is that I used Baidu, which is like the Chinese version for Google, and the quite reliable for domestic information. And then I used ChatGPT to translate it into, and then I went over the translations, so it is accurate. Yes, the quietness of the last street was nice, and then the food is always nice. I mean, the food is just, yeah. I mean, I'll do one about food sometime. I mean, surely, but yes, I don't know when, but I'll do one about it. Okay, I'll do more of that. I mean, especially if we're doing the subway one, because the subway is all of the places, they have their unique names, and then so yeah, there's gonna be a lot of linguistic stuff in that one. Yes, I'm excited. Okay, Chinatown food. Okay, that's nice. Okay, thank you, Endless 022. Yeah, I think that's about our stream for today. Yes, it's amazing, and then there's tons to optimize for the next one. Okay, have a great evening, guys. Bye bye.